This training video is intended to provide a general description of Electric Reliability Council of Texas, Incorporated's ERCOT's process for the Real-Time Co-Optimization Plus Batteries RTC+B program. This video is not a replacement for the ERCOT nodal protocols, operating guides, planning guides, or other binding documents. In the event of any conflict, the ERCOT nodal protocols, market guides, and/or other binding documents, OBDs, shall control.
Hello everyone. I will be presenting on the real-time co-optimization plus batteries day-ahead market changes. We will review the DAM timeline. We will discuss changes to the ancillary service obligations, ancillary service demand curves, AS insufficiency. We will then jump into DAM AS submissions, which include the new AS-only offers and the existing resource-specific AS offers and self-arranged AS. We will also briefly cover energy storage resources in DAM. Let's start with the DAM timeline. As we do today, we will continue to publish certain reports such as AS obligations, electrically similar settlement points, and DAM PSSE files by 0600. The market will continue to be able to submit DAM submissions up until DAM close, which normally happens at 10 a.m. The DAM will execute and will be published by 1330. If results posting is delayed, ERCOT will inform the market through the market manager notifications as we do today. QSCs will have an hour between DAM posting and DRUC close to update COPs and submit trades. DRUC will execute at 1430. Let's now talk about AS obligations. The current structure produces AS obligations by using the AS plan and the load serving entity's load ratio share. Both of these reports are posted along with the AS obligations by 0600 in the day ahead. We currently have a minimum quantity of 1 megawatt for ancillary service obligations. In the RTC+B era, we will produce the advisory AS obligation, which will again use the AS plan and LSC load ratio shares, and will be published by 0600. We will, however, not have a minimum quantity. The MP should expect to see values with up to 5 significant digits after the decimal. Once the DAM completes, a final AS obligation will be calculated using DAM awards and self-arranged AS values and will be sent to settlements. Any self-arrangement over the final AS obligation will be paid out to the QSE. In today's current structure, we do not have ancillary service demand curves. Instead, we utilize the AS plan minus self-arranged AS to derive the AS requirement for DAM. AS penalty costs are calculated using system-wide offer cap. In RTC+B, DAM will use the same ASDCs as real-time. The ASDCs may shift based on the submitted self-arranged AS. For example, if the net AS in DAM is negative, a shift to the right would be applied. AS penalty costs, as we use them today, will no longer be used. Let's now discuss ancillary service insufficiency. In today's structure, DAM procures AS for real-time. If AS insufficiency is identified, ERCOT will execute its AS insufficiency procedure, which includes publishing insufficiency quantities for each AS type. We then reopen the DAM market for a minimum of 30 minutes. This allows for the market to adjust or submit additional AS. When time has elapsed, the DAM will reclose and ERCOT will rerun the DAM with all additional AS submissions. If insufficiency still exists, a pricing run will be executed to price based on current conditions. SASM and RUC will then be used to procure the remaining quantities. AS insufficiency will no longer exist in RTC+B, as real-time will procure ancillary services. SASM will also no longer exist. Now let's talk about DAM submissions changes. AS-only offers don't exist today. AS-only offers will be a new submission in RTC+B. These AS-only offers are virtual offers that are not linked to physical resources and will not require AS qualifications for either resource or QSC. These new submissions will be considered when procuring AS against their respective ASDCs. AS-onlys will not be available for blocky or manual AS types. Submissions will only be allowed up to 5 blocks for Reg Up, Reg Down, RRS PFR, online non-spend, and online ECRS. Multi-hour and fixed blocks will not be allowed. The minimum quantity will be 1/10 of a megawatt and will allow prices to be between $0 and the day-ahead market system-wide offer cap. A new credit exposure will exist for the AS-only offers and can be found in protocols. In today's structure, we procure the AS requirement using resource-specific AS offers while considering AS penalty costs. Granted, both resource and QSC have to be AS qualified for an award to happen. QSCs may submit up to 5 blocks of resource-specific AS offers with or without an energy offer curve. Submissions have a minimum quantity of 1/10 of a megawatt and can be priced between $0 and the system-wide offer cap. Fast Responding Regulation Service, FRRS, are allowed today, but do have system-wide limits. In RTC+B, resource-specific AS offers will remain unchanged for the most part. They will be procured against DAM ASDCs, be capped at the DAM SW cap, and FRRS will no longer be allowed. In the current structure, self-arranged AS is subtracted from the AS plan to determine the AS requirement. Market participants have the ability to exceed their AS obligation up to 25 megawatts for regulation, 100 megawatts for RRS and ECRS, and 50 megawatts for non-spin. In the RTC+B era, submitting over your AS obligation will no longer be allowed. Negative self-arranged AS submissions will be considered price takers for each respective ASDC. If self-arranged AS quantities exceed the final AS obligation, the QSC will be paid its corresponding AS MCPC. If trades are used to cover self-arrangement, an overage check will be done to ensure AS trades do not exceed self-arranged quantities. If an overage exists, the QSC has until the end of the adjustment period to correct it. Else, a charge for the overage quantities will be applied. Energy storage resources. In our current structure, ESRs are modeled as a generator and a controllable load resource and can be offered independently. In RTC+B, ESRs will be single model. COPS and EOCs will allow to include charging and discharging, therefore allowing for negative values. Energy bid offer curves, EBOCs, will be a new submission, but will use the existing TPO and EOC submission structure. EBOCs will be considered self-committed and inclusive of resource-specific AS offers. No make-whole payments will exist. There will be a new credit exposure calculation for EBOCs that will mimic energy bid exposure for the charging side and TPO exposure for the discharging side. Resource-specific AS offers for ESRs will not allow submissions for offline reserves, RRS UFR, or ECRS MD, manual dispatch. On the last slide, I've provided a visual representation of the transition into RTC+B. As you can see, DAM ASDCs, AS-only offers, and EBOCs are new for DAM in the RTC+B era. I've gone over the different changes in the day ahead market. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.